Joining us now virtually in our newsroom all the way from Connecticut, we have Dr. Alvin Tran, Assistant Professor in the School of Health Sciences at New Haven University. Hello, Dr. Tran.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. I understand one of your areas of research is how the COVID outbreak is affecting our nutrition and physical activity behaviors. So first, let's start with nutrition. Are we talking about in a positive way, a negative way, or both? And what type of behaviors are we talking about?
I focus a little bit on both healthy eating behaviors, but also eating behaviors that are not necessarily recommended. What we're seeing now during COVID-19 is people's regular regimens, their typical eating behaviors are a little bit off the charts or atypical now because of everything that's happening. So what I study is trying to figure out, how do they navigate that? How do they adjust and adapt to this different environment, given that we're living through a global pandemic? So for me, what I'm seeing right now is a lot of people, they have been adapting. There's a lot of stress eating and emotional eating going on, but other families in particular have become very creative with trying to figure out, okay, how do I incorporate healthier meals into my household now that my kids are back? Some of them are taking classes remotely, so they're not at school where they're typically getting some of their meals. So now parents are having to get very creative with trying to figure out, okay, how do I prepare nutritious meals for my kids? So that's what I'm trying to look at right now.
And what about in terms of physical activity? Sort of same questions here.
Yeah, very important. As a public health professional, we try to encourage people to not live a too sedentary lifestyle. We want people to get up on their feet, go for walks, get that heartbeat up. So given that there were so many shelter-in-place orders, stay-at-home orders, there's some growing concern, and that concern still sticks around to this day, whether or not people are getting enough physical activity or exercise. So it's important right now, if you are at home, working from home, and if you are home with your kids, think about what are some creative ways to build in exercise into your daily routine. So does this mean doing some, like kicking a ball back and forth in your backyard? It might be, but there are so many other creative ways. Many people have access to the internet where you can watch exercise videos, you can dance to music, so many creative ways. Go for a walk with your family members around your neighborhood. Definitely bring your mask though, and make sure to keep a safe distance from other people. But there are so many safe ways to still incorporate physical activity into your everyday life.
And an international team of researchers pulled data from dozens of peer-reviewed journals, and this was a research study that was recently published in Obesity Reviews. They looked at, close to 400,000 patients diagnosed with COVID-19, and they found that people who were obese were 113% more likely than people of a healthy weight to land in the hospital. 74% were more likely to be admitted to ICU, and 48% were more likely to die. Why? What are your thoughts on these statistics? They're quite alarming.
Yeah, they are quite alarming. I think some research even shows that the risk of mortality is a 5-fold increase for those who do live in larger bodies compared to those who don't. I think it's important to first, number one, is to acknowledge that the research is still out there. People are still learning more about COVID-19 and its impact on humans, on our population. And I think what's out there right now is like some researchers are pointing to inflammation. So people who have obesity or who are obese, it has been shown to have low-grade inflammation. So this just underscores the importance of going back to focusing on nutrition and physical activity, which is what I like to focus on. And to be eating foods that are anti-inflammatory, like your fruits and your vegetables. As a public health nutrition researcher, it's important to remind parents, your kids, your teens to eat fruits and vegetables. Half your plate should be comprised of fruits and vegetables because they do oftentimes contain anti-inflammatory properties. So this goes back to the importance of physical activity and eating healthy. What we're seeing right now is during COVID-19, people are going to the stores and purchasing a lot of highly processed foods. Those are not necessarily recommended and they're not healthy for you. So it's important that even despite the stressful and anxious time, that we do keep in mind that our nutrition and our health needs to come first. That means incorporating those fruits, those vegetables. And you know, I got to put this on the radar for parents, because now it's the time to figure out innovative ways to prepare meals. And that might mean having their kids cook with them, make recipes with them, because right now it's important to maintain optimal nutrition and physical activity. And I do want to bring up concerns with weight stigma. I know that there's an association between obesity and mortality during the time of COVID, but it's important to have friendly and strategic conversations about weight, because we're also seeing some people gaining weight during this time. There's a saying called the quarantine 15 going around. But that said, it's important that we do not stigmatize and shame people for any weight gain whatsoever, because that is harmful in itself. That deters people from going to the doctor, and that causes a lot of shame, feelings of shame, which can have both physical and mental health adverse outcomes. So very important to bring that up as well.
And health behavior change is very difficult. It really is sort of unlike no other type of behavior change that we, sort of deal with or manage or struggle with. So what would you suggest to those who are struggling to make a more positive change, but are having a difficult time?
Yeah, I think what this pandemic has brought out is, fear and anxiety for many people. Sometimes I feel that way, but it's also important to think about what I have control over, what parents, what families, what teens, and what kids have full control over. So you can still get physical activity, try to figure out innovative ways, because that does help alleviate some of that stress out there. For me, think about cues to action, which are basically putting things around the house to remind you that you do need to get some exercise, that you need to eat healthy. That may mean putting a pair of tennis shoes right next to your door to remind you, oh, maybe I should go for a walk. But also empower the people that you live with, especially if you're living in a large household with friends and family. Like, okay, let's go walk. Let's take long walks together at a certain time. Let's build these activities in. Let's encourage and empower each other to eat healthier during this time. So there are many positive ways to do it. So I think empowering each other is very important.
Well, Dr. Tran, we will leave it right there. Thank you so much for your insights. It's going to help a lot of people. Thank you.